So today we're in New York, hanging out with Adam Craniotes. Adam is the founder of Redbar, which is an underground watch society that now meets in cities worldwide. Redbar brings together people from all walks of life who are simply passionate about watches. Adam is an entrepreneur, an extrovert, and a watch guy. Today, we're going to get to know Adam a little better and hear some really great watch stories.
I'm Adam Craniotes. I live in New York City. I founded Redbar Group, if you will, which is now the world's largest collectors group. And I honestly can't remember a time that watches weren't something that fascinated me. As a child, I'm not thinking about the historical precedents of breakthroughs in timekeeping accuracy and how civilization leaps ahead in lockstep with that. And no, there was something about it. And at the beginning it was digital watches. I guess maybe the technology, the gadgetry, all that stuff. But from when I was 7, I always had one on. So whether I was sleeping, I was swimming, taking a shower, getting beat up, I always had a watch on, and I feel naked without it. Redbar started as a way for me and one other individual, my good friend, Dr. Jeffrey Jacques, to meet once a month and talk about watches. And we met at a lunch that was being held by Michael Cobalt of Cobalt Watches. Doc and I just hit it off instantly. As we're walking back to the subway, we realized we work a block away from each other. And then we're thinking, wow, we love watches. We've never had this experience of really being able to talk to someone face to face. Up to this point, everything is just online. Here, it was a way to take that conversation offline. And the bar that we found, which is in Koreatown, was called Redbar. So that's actually where the name comes from. And once a month, we met and talked watches. And the 2 of us turned into 3 of us, turned into 5, turned into 10. And that's really how it started, very organically. One watch that'll always be special to me is the Cobalt Seal. Now you look at this imposing hunk of surgical grade stainless steel, big domed 5mm sapphire crystal, double as a weapon in a zombie apocalypse. So obviously Seal refers to the Navy SEALs. In fact, that's not what it refers to. If you look on the back of the case, they have a seal etched into it. The reason for the name of the watch and that seal actually has to do with Michael Cobalt's friendship with James Gandolfini. Together, they actually designed this watch. But the joke was that it's a dive watch, it's meant as a tool, and he said, well, if you ever put me in a wetsuit, I just look like a fat seal. And so Mike thought about it, he goes, well, we're calling it the Seal then. For me, there's something about just how purposeful this design was. This big, wide bezel, no date, just the facts, ma'am, markers on it. It just sang to me. An instantaneous grail is the IWC Big Pilot's Watch Perpetual Calendar Top Gun. In IWC speak, Top Gun usually refers to their pilot's watches that are in ceramic. It is almost as hard as diamond. It's very scratch resistant. It's a little brittle, don't drop one. Don't drop your regular watch either. It's sort of the definitive pilot's watch, the Big Pilot. And then their perpetual calendar movement is just, again, a purely IWC through and through movement. So for me, right there, I need that watch. But even still, way beyond my means as a working man with 2 kids and a very suspicious and otherwise intelligent wife. So I went to my mother and said, look, I'm selling 3 watches and I'm still coming up short. I happened to be sporting a mohawk at the time. Mom sees an opportunity. And so she said, well, look, you just tell me where, when, I'll wire the money, we'll sort it out, but you gotta shave off the mohawk. What? Next day I show up for lunch at her place. Mohawk's gone, money's transferred, Bob's your uncle, I got the watch. So I get the money together, I pay her back, and God bless her, she says, happy 40th birthday, you don't have to pay me back. Part of what makes a watch special to most people, there's a story behind it, and the story behind this one, every time I look at this, I am reminded about just how much I love my mom. This is a standard Rolex Submariner. It's actually from 1981. This is a transitional dial. So this bridges the gap between the 1680 and the modern 16610s. This was made for probably about 1.5 to 2 years with the older dials. Subsequent versions of the 16800 had a glossy dial with white gold surrounds around the markers. This was actually my first good watch that I bought with my own money. It was back in 1992. I was in college at the time, and a relative had passed away. left me some money. And part of the deal was that I had to do something stupid with some of the money. Like, don't just give it all to your parents and have them invest it. Do something that makes you happy. For me, it was buying a Submariner. So one of my proudest days moments was walking in and saying, I'm gonna buy that. And this will go to my son when he's 18, provided he's not an asshole. If he is, I'm welding an Invicta to his wrist. Now this one actually does have SEAL in the name, and it does reference the Navy SEALs. Unlike some other brands that have just appropriated the SEAL's name or the use of the trident symbol, they actually dotted the I's, crossed the T's, went to the Navy, got permission, and the goal was to develop dive watches that could handle the abuse that SEALs would throw at it. To do this, they lent prototypes to the SEALs. The watches actually went through BUDS training. This is actually a limited edition version of a limited edition watch. So the actual Navy SEALs diving alarm comes in titanium, and they made 1,500 of those. This is called the Incursion. And so what they did with this watch is they made 19 in a black PVD case with orange highlights, and then they made 62 with a gray DLC case and yellow highlights. I preferred the gray version, so that's this one. So there's 62 of these. This is number 10. And if you look at those numbers again, 19 and 62, that's the year that President Kennedy signed the SEALs into existence, basically. This is a Maurice Lacroix Pontos S diver. When this watch was first announced, I loved the design. The brand itself, is a mid-level to lower-end Swiss brand, but the design, was something a little modern and then still brought the sort of that vintage compressor flavor, but updated for the 21st century. But again, a very affordable watch, base Solita movement, solid workhorse. This particular watch is part of a series of 10 watches that Maurice Lacroix made for Redbar. We have the black PVD case with the red highlights instead of orange, and then our logo is etched into the back with the number. For obvious reasons, I'm partial to this piece as sort of the first Redbar watch, if you will. And we will be doing something where each year we'll work with a different brand to come out with a limited edition watch for our members of our group. But there can only be one first. And it was just one of those moments when I got it. I think I actually got a little misty. For me, as a journey in terms of being involved in this hobby and then becoming more professionally involved in it is just a validation that a brand would actually offer to do something like that and then work with us to design it. Everything in life is a learning experience. And in terms of watches, I've learned a lot about how they function. I've learned a lot about how the business works behind the scenes. But what I've learned in terms of the people who are behind so much of what drives this industry is there are a lot of great people. The best watchmakers, these living legends that I've met, are some of the most humble, down-to-earth people you could ever want to meet. These people will literally take the watch off their wrist to show you because they are proud of what they've done and they want to share. Also with Redbar, I joke a little bit about how our first rule is no assholes. It's a rule that we don't have to invoke because almost uniformly, everybody who wants to be involved in this hobby on the level are great people and from all walks of life and all ages. There's no demographic here. The phone is like the pocket watch of the 21st century. The next threat, now we fast forward to the smartwatch. But what is a smartwatch? It's a computer on your wrist, so it doesn't reflect anything about you. There's something I think about the permanence of a mechanical watch. And there's something about knowing that it was made by people, not robots, that some blood, sweat, and tears were put into that. And we lose that in so many other aspects of our lives. And in many respects, that's part of progress. But every now and then, you gotta stop and take a breath. And I think, when I look and I check the time, that's me reflecting a little bit on what went into this. Because that's what's going to tell people who I am.